Hey everyone, Sergio from Mayday here. Today I've got a really exciting guest, someone whose art you have probably seen but didn't even realize it. Aaron Miller is an award-winning illustrator who's worked with huge names like Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering, Star Wars, Pathfinder, just to name a few. But today, we're not just talking about his amazing art, though it is a big part of the project. Today, we are talking Paws, Claws, and Primal Encounters. Aaron's launching a brand new Kickstarter by the same name, a 5e supplement built entirely around one simple idea. What if some of the best encounters you end up running at your table come from the ordinary beasts of your world? Aaron, welcome and congrats on the Kickstarter launch.
Hi, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Now, full disclosure, we're actually having this conversation a day before the Kickstarter goes live, right?
Yeah, it goes live tomorrow morning.
Well, exciting.
Very excited about it, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how are you feeling right before the Kickstarter launch?
The same as I have for every single one, that it's going to dissolve into utter failure. And I'm going to have to hide my head in shame. But no, I feel good about it. I'm very excited about it. So I can't wait for these to get into people's hands. So yeah, there's everyone that I've shared it with, that like my beta readers, they've all really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. It's funny to know that the Kickstarter jitters never really go away.
No, they don't.
You're 7 of these launches in, right? This is the 8th one?
Yeah. And I've helped 2 other campaigns in the past, so like I've got quite a few under my belt.
Well, that's awesome. I think this is a great concept for a supplement because it's something that I think most DMs overlook at our tables. We get caught up in the monsters, the big bads, and we forget that nature itself can be terrifying or interesting and engaging. What inspired you to create Primal Encounters?
So the Primal Encounters comes from a few different areas. Well, first is there's a set of cards that is essentially the bestiary. So that's why this book doesn't have like a whole section, because the cards are that section. The reason why those exist is because as a player and sometimes DM, I had gone out to purchase the wizard's deck of creatures, right? And I was looking for all the animals in them, and it turns out that they don't exist. So I had to create the product that didn't exist. I've since seen some other versions of the same sort of deck without any illustrations, so I feel like I've got the only illustrated deck of beasts out there.
And then naturally this led to, well, now I've got to come up with some fun encounters with all these beasts I've created.
Yeah. I wanted to, I started thinking of it started as like ways to possibly like advertise it a little bit. And I was like, well, how about some treats? I'll give you an encounter to use with these different animals. Cause I started to think about that as well. It's like, what would I do with this particular creature? How do I put this in? Why is it even in the book? So, and they just kept building. And then I started hiring writers to make more. And I couldn't help myself by adding more writers because they all had some different perspectives. And then it was like, I should put this in a book form. And then it just kept growing.
Let's talk about the design of the book a little bit, because there's a big difference between having a cool concept and then creating something that a DM can actually drop into a session that weekend or that day. When developing these animal encounters, how did you balance, an interesting or novel idea with something that's actually usable in play? And did you have a criteria when deciding which creatures or situations should be put into Primal Encounters?
Well, first I wanted to create something for every single card, at least at least 3 or 4 for each one. And I've looked through a lot of other encounters, and one of the things that I really enjoy when reading them and deciding, oh, is this something I want to put into action, is it something that my players or me as a player gets directly involved in. So even with the writing, I had gotten a few back that felt more like a little pastiche, a little like, this is what you see. And one of the things I'm like, but how is my party involved? Okay, I see this thing, and then so that was one of the things that I wanted to write in there, and would push the writers also, is get the players involved. Take that cool thing that they're seeing, and then it needs to turn around on them, get them involved. It's either a good thing, a bad thing, you're helping, you're fighting. Um, and so that's where I was taking a bunch of the different things. So it's not all the same thing. Like, you're just different ways to fight every single thing. There are different things that you could do.
Yeah, because not every table is going to be a combat heavy table. Some folks prefer to have,
Right.
More role play like experiences.
Yes, and there's definitely a mix in there, and I wanted that. Not everyone wants to go and kill an animal, and I'm well aware of that. And so there's plenty where it's like, help this thing, or stop these the bad guys from killing the animal, or something like that. There's a dense variety.
Well, it brings me actually to my next question, which is something I think a lot of GMs experience, which is your players are on the road or they're doing something and they come across a random animal. Maybe it's a stray dog or a wounded hawk or something. And instantly they're like, oh, we're keeping it. We want it as a pet. I'm curious if the supplement in some way helps anticipate moments like this and helps the GM when something like this happens.
So first of all, there's definitely like at least 1 or 2 that bring up that idea of, here's a thing, and maybe if you how you interact with it's something that you can befriend or raise into a pet or a mount or something like that, depending on the group you have. But now I know that there's been a whole bunch of awesome writers out there who have like built entire books around creating a pet. And so I want to let them do their thing, but one of the things I didn't see that I added was the thing that, like, I have 2 dogs, and every time we go for a walk, I have to put on their collar. So I was like, these pets, whether they're your pet, whether they're the NPC's pet, maybe they're the BBEG's pet, and maybe they have a really cool collar that helps out. Maybe it's like it could store some spells. It could let your animal just speak to you in the group. So there's you could just kind of cut through that that kind of barrier to letting a lot of stories happen, a lot of role play happen. I guess then the argument is, who plays the pet? Is it always the GM?
Well, I mean, I love the idea of the callers. It's a great way to allow the gaining of a pet to happen, but then you add that little bit of fun fantasy element to it. It's really great idea. So I've seen the preview PDF that you supply on the Kickstarter page to give everybody kind of a taste of what's inside. And I noticed that there were a few city encounters that really stood out to me, which, first of all, it's easy to forget that primal doesn't always mean that it's just in the wild. It could happen in the city as well. Could you highlight maybe 2 of your favorite entries from the book and kind of walk us through how a GM might drop that encounter into their next session?
Yeah. I've got, actually, I went and made a list, and like I was like, oh, I love this one. Oh, I love that one. So I pulled out 4. I'm gonna hopefully stick to 2, because they're ones that just make me smile. I'll just read the encounters if I'm like the GM. Okay. In a sunken tower, you find the bones of a drowned wizard and his still living familiar, a magical octopus that could cast cantrips by concentrating hard on changing its colors and making strange gestures with its tentacles. It seems overjoyed to have company and begins to root through the rotting cupboards to make tea. And this one was written by Kat, the lore mistress. And it's designed to, like, you can choose where it ends. Scorpions scuttle over the ancient artifact. They will attack if provoked, or if a creature comes within 5 feet of the artifact. If the players deal any damage to the scorpions, one will magically polymorph into a giant scorpion. And then there's a little note, keep up the pressure. When the giant scorpion reaches fewer than 10 hit points, it polymorphs into a wyvern. And then finally, polymorphs at 10 hit points or less into a young red dragon. It's one of those, like, it just, this thing you just brush off. It starts with a scorpion. Like, who's using scorpions? What do you do with a scorpion? Yet it's something that can escalate.
Yeah, it's an escalating combat, but also kind of a puzzle, because as a player, I might think, oh, maybe there's something going on with this artifact that I need to turn it off or in some way affect it because it's causing this thing to keep changing. You know, it really
Right.
gets your mind going with creativity.
Right, and that's the whole idea that, like, as a GM, I've always, like, I'll take this and then I'll mold it to what I need it to be, change the monsters up or whatever. But I wanted to present something that's like, oh, that's fun. We've got the monster spigot.
Yeah, that's great. And the previous one you mentioned, the octopus, I could see a whole session where the players sit down and have tea with that octopus and just get to know them. It's really a great setup.
Right. And then I want to do just one real short one that it's on that level of you see something and there's a way either you don't know what to interact with. And I just wanted to put in, like, so we had really fun. We've got your, you're going to fight some stuff. And then, like, another way we've approached some of these is like, I don't know where this could go.
Yeah.
You come across a tiger drinking from a stream. It doesn't seem to have noticed you as you watch it drink. As it quenches its thirst, its stripes melt off into the water, creating an oil-like slick. So is there something unusual about the beast or the water? So again, this is for a DM to kind of let go or let the players sort of let things they say and do, like, okay, that's what it's going to be.
Right. I like the open-endedness of that because, like you said, the players might think there's something going on with the tiger, something going on with the water. Maybe a DM here, reads this and just goes in a completely different tangent that you didn't even think of. There's really a lot of room for creativity there.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really like about Primal Encounters is that it very easily fits outside of just D&D, because you could drop these encounters in almost any game. I'm thinking of the Forbidden Lands, Dungeon Crawl Classics, the One Ring, even something more gonzo like the Wild Sea. Obviously, you might need to tweak the stats, but the situations that you've just explained all feel pretty universal in their own way, and there's ways to make it relevant and inspiring for the players. Was that intentional?
Yeah. I wanted to, like, there's, like, very small handful that deal with like DCs and other sort of, like, very 5e centric, so that, like, you could drop this into a Pathfinder game. They have the same kind of creatures, and even like we play Blades in the Dark. It's not like a creature heavy thing, but a lot of these things can still kind of evolve into any of those worlds, because these are just your basic creatures that kind of are everywhere.
Now, the Finnish supplement promises a lot of variety in the environments of these encounters. We're talking swamps, mountains, cities, forests. Was there a particular environment you really wanted to explore with the book? Maybe one that you don't feel gets enough love?
So it's interesting you bring it up. So the way it happened was almost the opposite. I wrote stuff. I let the writers go wild, and once I had everything together, I was like, I just can't put these into one giant long list. I need some organization, and I decided location seemed to make the most sense to me. Like, where are these happening? So I just started lumping them into different locations. They just started all developing these certain areas that were hitting like everywhere. I mean, the people who do the writing have played enough to have kind of been everywhere. So where these things kind of feel like all over the world, or in any world. I didn't really, because they're beasts, it made sense to keep it sort of on the material plane. Um, as opposed to like, why is there anything happening in space? Well, it's kind of hard to run into a deer in space.
Did you have a particular environment that you are especially proud of or that you really enjoy to play in?
I definitely like roaming through like the forest as dungeon type thing. That's one of my personal favorites. And I think I was surprised. I have one section called Opportunity Knocks, and that's the section that kind of felt independent of the location. Like, so there, some of them feel very like, okay, that's in a forest, but the encounter itself was it. You could kind of put it anywhere, and so I'm up for hijinks almost anywhere.
That's great. I'm glad to hear there's kind of an environment agnostic option as well. You can just throw them in anywhere.
Yeah, and as a GM, just change it. All of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get inspired, take that little nugget and run with it. If it's in the swamp and you want to change up the creatures, but you like the idea that we presented to you, craft it to your story. I mean, I do that.
Well, Aaron, you are a very talented illustrator, so we got to talk about the art for the book. We all know that art is a huge part of what attracts folks to these books. Tell us a bit about that side of the process, making Primal Encounters. Who did you collaborate with, and what was it like working with those other illustrators and designers this kind of time around?
Okay, this is a really good question. I'm going to talk about things that maybe are not super exciting to the audience, but are very like important to me and to the community. And my approach with the art in this book was I wanted to make use of art that I already had. And when I say art that I have, in my world, that means that's art that I own the rights to. Like, I can't put magic work in here because I don't own the rights to it. So the artwork that I do own the rights to, I could put wherever I want. And that was important to me, and it's an important part of how I want to work with other artists to kind of like push that idea. So like all of the art, it doesn't have to have been printed, and most of the time we have so much art that you may or may not ever see where some of these images come up, but it gives me an opportunity to put them into a new environment for players to see. This is very true with with the stuff I do for Magic. I make some tokens for players, and I am giving them access to artwork that they wouldn't normally see in a format that they want to see things in. So that's the same thing with this book, is that I'm working with other artists using images that they didn't need to create them for me. They were like fantasy illustrators. We're always making stuff for ourselves or for general things. So I'm able to like pull them together um, and have them put this book, and they just feel right at home.
Any names of illustrators that you're excited are going to show up in the book that you can tell us?
So I've got Tom Babby. Tom Babby is an artist, illustrator, art director. You know Tom, but you don't know Tom. If you've ever bought a WizKids Mini in the last couple years, he probably is the designer for like all the little illustrations for the sculptor. Like the some of the big red dragons coming out, the red, the silver. I think he did all of them in Tiamat, and they're all. Once you see a Tom Dragon, you know a Tom Dragon. I've got Allie Irwin, who is a concept artist, and she's coming up on her own. She's amazing. Owen Weber, who his focus is like dinosaurs and prehistoric wildlife. Um, and I just got a piece from Elliot Lang, who's a fantastic illustrator out of Denver. And a friend of mine, he's like, he might be the only one actually making a piece for the book. So I kind of like, we'll wait and see. I told him, you don't have to. And he's like, no, I love you, man. I want to create a new piece. So I'm expecting some work from magic illustrator Jeff Miller Cola. So, and I've got some emails out. I want to share some more art. So if I could work out some of my deals, this book was already like 25% art anyway. So expanding that would just make me happy. Well, I'm hoping it would make readers happy as well.
Sure. I mean, it sounds like a great team. I can't wait to see all this amazing artwork.
Yeah. I when putting it together, I was trying to balance like how much art should I put in, how much art do I have, and once it started, like I was like, oh man, I'm getting right to the end of like all the available art. So, but some of the readers that are other artists, and they're like, oh, I'd love to have my art in here. So that's how some of those deals worked out.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Kickstarter now. I'm curious to know what the funding goals and stretch goals are that you are most excited about. You know, are there any fun surprise add-ons or extras that maybe backers should know about? Things that might unlock as the campaign grows?
Okay, so first, I'm keeping it. I have a lot of different options as I move forward. So it's very modest. It's like I believe I set it at 3,500, and then I can work with. So it'll cost me a little more, but I can. If the numbers have to be lower, I can make the book. If this thing gets better, like the higher the numbers get, the better the book is going to get. It's just going to I'm just going to keep adding. Like I think other people have seen other book Kickstarters where like, oh well, we're going to use better paper, or we're going to use this and that. So for me, it's just going to go from one printer to another printer that will like change the game up for me. And if I do the other one, I'm going to go right to some of the best stuff that they have. So I'm not going to wait around for some of the goals to hit. I just want to, if I'm able to do it with the second printer, then I'm going to try and get everything that I want, custom end papers and the little ribbon. Now, as far as like the stretch goals, I'm going with I'm going to post them once I hit my goal. So instead of starting out with like all these things, I want to add them once I've hit my goals. So it doesn't feel like, why didn't you just add these in to begin with? But I'm also going to take a slightly different approach to some of the stretch goals I do want to achieve. Like one of the things I want to achieve, it's like one of the goals is I could I hit a certain goal and I want to give more money to all the writers and artists that have helped me with the book.
Very cool.
Probably add a few extra PDFs to the package, so not only do you get the book or whatever tier you get, then maybe I add in a couple other like the arcane deck of cards that I have. I could add that in.
Yeah, I saw that in your different tiers that folks can support at. You're offering the Skwirl's Menagerie cards as well and things like that.
Right.
Sounds good. Nice.
Yeah.
I want to zoom out as we kind of start wrapping up here for backers and GMs who are stepping into Primal Encounters. When they drop one of your animal encounters into a session and the party stumbles into that moment, what do you hope that experience is like? What kind of feeling or story do you want to invoke in that encounter?
I think what I really want to aim for is that a bit of surprise in the sense that this didn't go the way I expected. Whatever game we're playing, like why a deer? Why a hare? What are we getting involved with these creatures? But the underlying story that is wrapped around that creature is what I hope kind of delights everybody, is that they got to have fun. And then whatever it is that encounter was presented is then linked to their story. So it doesn't feel like filler or something like that. It's got a nice link.
There's nothing better as a player when you think you're walking into an encounter and have all the assumptions figured out, and then the GM successfully flips it on its head and surprises you. So that's I think you're perfectly describing kind of what is great about Primal Encounters, because I have to be honest with you, I was a little surprised by how much I like the concept, because I thought, look, there's no way that an encounter with a fox or a bear is going to be particularly memorable. But I really believe that some of the concepts you're talking about, some of the things that are going to be featured in this book, are really going to spark inspiration for GMs and surprise players. So I really like what you've got going here.
So the surprise, I'm just going to push it a little further. I think where the book will shine is the appendix. So you just mentioned like a bear or wolf, like I've got the appendix is designed for the GM to like change it up so that like you can present something unexpected for your meta players who are like, I know everything about this wolf, or I know everything about this bear or lion. That I've got that whole section of the book is to change it up to make it more interesting, whether you use that appendix for the beasts or any creature or situation. So the other third of the book is a beyond just these creatures. So I'm hoping, like, to me that's like the creamy center of the cake, like you're like, oh, I already got the cake, and you get to the center, so it's even better.
Yeah, multiple ways to think about the animals and how you can use them, and like you said, the appendix kind of gives you that extra layer of creativity that you can use.
Oh yeah, it's pretty fun. Like just going in there, rolling some. There you could roll dice, or you could just pick and choose. But like elevating a bunch of these to make them just really weird or unexpected and unique for your campaign. So you could use them outside of the encounters, or check out the encounter, check out the animal. Like, how do I spice this up?
Well, folks watching, if you want to support the Kickstarter, it is live right now. It's already shaping up to have some really fun stretch goals. And honestly, I really think it's worth backing. Now, Aaron, you have very graciously sent over some really fun gifts that we at Mayday plan to give away. We're talking about Magic the Gathering tokens. You are offering up the Skwirl's Animal Menagerie, the Druid cards, and rather than just hoard it all, as much as I would love to just hoard all of those awesome things, I want to give them away to the folks listening and to the folks who want to support it. So starting from now, the release of this video to the end of the Kickstarter, we at Mayday are going to be running a contest. And it's very simple, but here's how it's going to work. In first place, you're going to be able to get some Magic the Gathering foil tokens that Aaron has very graciously sent over, as well as the Skwirl's Animal Menagerie cards. Second place is going to win a copy of the Druid cards. And third place will get a free 1-month subscription to the Mayday Patreon. And then Aaron is even throwing in some tokens that are available from his Patreon. To enter, you just need to do one of 3 things, but you could do all 3 if you wanted, and your odds of winning will go up. The first thing you can do is leave a comment below this video and tell us your favorite real-world animal. Maybe pitch a unique encounter that you can run at your table with that animal. Second, you can share this video on your socials, on X, Discord, Blue Sky, Instagram, and make sure to tag at Mayday Roleplay or at Mayday RP on Instagram, and or send us a screenshot. The third and final way is you can share the Kickstarter on your socials and again, send us proof. Once the campaign wraps up, we will pick the winners at random, and that's it. No purchase is necessary, void where prohibited, and you have to be 18 or older to be eligible. Aaron, I want to thank you so much for sharing your talents with us. This really is a fun Kickstarter project, and thanks for speaking with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
To everyone watching, go check out Primal Encounters on Kickstarter, support the project, and hey, maybe even win yourself some great art and cards in the process. I want you to take care of yourself, and we will see you next time.